Good. All right, super. Well, welcome everyone to our Thursday evening Skin Therapy Thursday. My name is Dr. Carolyn Hoffman. I am a board certified naturopathic doctor. I'm also a digestive health specialist, which volumes for our skin health. And at one point in my life, I did own a spa. And so I had the privilege of actually spending quite a bit of time with our estheticians going to professional skincare health training. And so it taught me a lot about the importance of good skincare I wouldn't say so much an early young age. At that point, I was kind of in my mid 40s when I came to the notion of better skincare than some of the cheap stuff that we just go and buy off the shelves at our local supermarket, and kind of how that is really important to preventing and protecting our skin as we get older. But I'm going to talk about some really interesting ways in which we can look at true skin health. And so I hope that you are going to have some fun learning some interesting things this evening. So I want to talk about, what is our skin? I want to look at what is skin care versus skin health, because they are entirely different things. How did the skincare products that we have actually affect our skin? We're going to look at cellular signaling. That's because that's where true anti-aging sits. The facelift experience, I'll give you an example of how to use the technology we're talking about today. So get this feeling of having a facelift without having to go and spend a fortune doing it. And we'll also talk about the purposes of all over body skincare therapy. And so let's take just a quick look for a second at the skincare industry as a whole, because those of us who are older will know that years ago, if we had skin blemishes, everybody used to spend all their time putting makeup on top of those skin blemishes to cover up those challenges. It's really nice to see that the industry as a whole is really shifting. People's interest is much more in skin health and not in just the cover up, but how do we actually change things from the inside as well as the outside, because that's the combination of skin. Skin is obviously the largest organ of the body. I'm sure you probably know that. And so it is literally our first defense about everything else around us. And so it's really important for so many aspects of health. And it's also a great indicator with your health in general. When we look at things like selfies, we don't take them of our back or our elbow or our knee, we take them of our face. And so our face is our first interface with other people. And it's really important, isn't it? And it plays a lot into how we feel about ourselves if we don't feel good or if we do feel good, in both directions. The skin is also a nervous system. It's giving us a huge amount of data back to the brain, and it is also an immune system protector. So as a practitioner, it tells me a lot about the whole health of the body. So I want to just take a second to think about what is your main skin health challenge. And I'm going to pop a poll up, and I'd love you, if you're online this evening, to just go in and fill in, what is your number one skin health challenge? Is this dry skin? Is it those fine lines and wrinkles? Is it that uneven tone that we have, sometimes the blotchiness? And this is totally anonymous. Nobody knows who you are in filling this out, so you're not giving away any trade secrets. So please participate on this. We have about 29 of you on the call this evening so far. Actually, it's gone up to 30. So pop in there and, fill in what is the thing that really bugs you the most, and we'll kind of look at that. And I'm just going to give a couple of seconds longer for anyone to pop into that poll. We're doing pretty well there. And I think what I'm seeing is what I seem to see every week. We have definitely a number one challenge that seems to bug everyone, and that is those fine lines and wrinkles. But I'm just going to go ahead and post and share those results. And so you get a chance to see that those fine lines and wrinkles are the number one bugbear for everybody, and dry skin always seems to be pretty much up there in second place. So we're going to talk a little bit about what we can do to change those fine lines and wrinkles. How would you love to be able to reverse that aging challenge that you have? And how would you love to get rid of the dry skin? So let's have a look for a second at the layers of the human skin. So what are we doing when we put technology, when we put a product on our skin? Well, we're actually affecting just that top layer. It looks like one of those 7-layer cakes, really. The epidermis, the top piece is where all of these products fill into. The dermis is that middle piece and the hypodermis is the bottom. So our cells, brand new skin cells, start at the bottom and they percolate all the way up to the top. By the time they get to the top, they are pretty much aged, if not dead, actually. But there is a big difference between how those skin cells look when we're young and how they look when we're older. And I'm sure you can probably all nod to yourself, yes, that's true. I don't look like I did 10 or 15, 20, 30 years ago, and so on. So we're going to look at the health of the skin and the notion of, health beginning at the base of it. So how can we change the skin cells at the deepest layer so that we can change the health of the skin on the surface? Well, you talked about dehydration and dry skin as being a challenge. And so what is that? Well, one of the things that contributes to all of those wrinkles and crinkles that we don't like is that it loses its ability to stretch when it gets dehydrated. We get a lot of cracking, even if we can't really see it ourselves. If we were to take a little microscope and look much closer at the skin, it is cracking, peeling, and that challenge also accelerates dehydration. And when we use moisturizers, for example, we're producing a layer of moisture on the surface in that epidermis. That's exactly where it works. And the goal is obviously a couple of things: to prevent moisture from leaving the skin surface, or to replenish the moisture back into the skin surface with, making it look and feel an awful lot better. Well, there's three different approaches that products on the market will take to providing you more moisture when you're using different product technologies. One would be an occlusive, and that I think is fairly logical to us. This reduces the moisture loss by creating a barrier. And those of us who are mothers will be very familiar with petroleum, or guys who are out there working in cold, damp environments know that you might put petroleum over your fingers and hands to keep them from drying up. The second category is something called a humectant. Now, this attracts water from the environment and to the skin like a magnet. An example of that would be jojoba oil. Now, the challenge is, if you're using a product like this and this mechanism, and you live in a particularly dry environment which doesn't have a lot of moisture, your product probably isn't going to really support you the way you might like it to. A third category is an emollient. And that adds hydration into the formulas that companies use, and it smooths and it softens the skin. And so if you picture a brick wall, an old brick wall, and you know that the concrete in between it and the fillings begin to break down, and we get these little broken look to the whole thing. And that really is what our skin looks like. And this comes in and it kind of fills in all of those nooks and crannies and crevices and ends up giving us this nice smooth surface. An example of that kind of product would be glycerin. So I just want to take a second to look at what we do not want in skincare. There's an enormous bundle of toxic chemicals on the markets nowadays. And sometimes if you purchase products and you look at the labels, gosh, it's really hard to know what are they for a start, how do you pronounce some of the names, and exactly what do they do to your health. And so, I'm sure that you're very familiar with things like parabens and sulfates. You may be focusing on eliminating some of those things, but there's a whole bevy behind it. And if you look at the way that it interacts with our health, you can see that most of them really do an awful lot to disrupt the hormone levels, to affect the nervous system, and really cause some pretty serious challenges. So we really want to make sure that we're eliminating anything in our skincare products that can cause challenges to our health. And why would that be? Well, it's really interesting that a lot of times people are very particular and maybe more cautious about what they put in their mouth and worrying about what that might do to their health than they are about what they put on their skin. And yet the body's built with an automatic filtering process called the liver, so that when you consume a product, it goes through that filter, and that filter will deal with, as best it can, those chemicals that ordinarily really shouldn't be internally consumed in the first place. But nowadays, we're in a different lifestyle where that is a heavy load on our bodies in many different directions, not just skincare. But when you put things on your skin, you're actually eliminating that pathway to the filter of the liver. So actually things can be an awful lot more toxic when we apply them to the skin than they necessarily are when we put them inside of us, and yet people don't always realize that. So just kind of look at those things, think very carefully. Maybe you want to take a screenshot of them and just try to make sure that you really do eliminate those from your skincare. And what we're going to talk about today does not have any of these nasty things in there. We're going to talk about ASEA's Cellular Health and Renew Advanced. And what is that? It's a very different way to target our skin health from the skin cells below. And by doing so, it is the world's first and only redox skincare system. So it targets the way the skin cells communicate within the body and through essential Krebs cycles, and you may well remember that from biology at school. And it also replenishes the way that our cellular communication takes place in every single cell in the body. And by amplifying and turning up that cell signaling communication, it enables our body to actually start to reverse the damage of aging cells. And that's like a pretty important thing, right? How many times do we go to skincare products that say they're going to reverse aging, or they're anti-aging, and we don't necessarily get what we want out of it, but we really are truly going right to the science of how our cells communicate, not simply about putting something on our skin that has a chemical that will change the reaction inside the body or on the skin cell surface. ASEA's cellular health technology maybe the first time that you've heard about it, but actually it's really interesting to look at the Miss Universe Norway has been using and promoting the ASEA skincare products for many years, and that's an age-defying skincare system. One of the reasons that I love this skincare system is if you are aware of the different rigors of how companies and countries require their manufacturing. Overseas in Europe and particularly Asia, a lot of these countries have much higher and more rigorous standards to the production and what they can and cannot have in skincare products. And so this product line matches all of those higher level requirements, and yet we're able to benefit from them here in the United States. The product is actually marketed in 35 countries around the world. So if you know someone in the world, around the world, who would love to have good skincare and they live in any of those countries, they too will be able to benefit from this. So we're going to talk about 3 simple steps. ASEA has taken the best of the science and nature to kind of create this amazing Renew Advanced. It is a proprietary facial skincare system, and it provides the benefits of redox signaling together with those exclusive redox-friendly anti-aging blends. Let me just take a quick second to talk about the fact that redox is a signal that every single cell in our body is making 24/7. It is a cellular communication mechanism by which the body helps us stay healthy, detect damaged cells, and either repair or replace. And so it is the whole function of how life exists. And so that is why it is really significant, but it's also something that's never been in a skincare product technology before. And we're going to talk about 3 simple steps here. Cleanse, repair, and replenish. Now, if you've paid attention to a lot of the marketing of a lot of traditional products on the market, especially if you're thinking of some of the very well-known makeup and skincare companies, you will probably have heard them talk about cleanse, tone, and moisturize. And I want to talk about the fact that the tone is in there because the cleansers that they have on the market disrupt what we call the natural acid mantle of the skin. In other words, there is a very specific pH level for the skin, and that enables the skin to provide you bacterial protection against bacteria and viruses and pollutants in the air. Now, when you have a product that disrupts and strips the skin of that natural protection, you actually open it up to being much more susceptible to bacteria. And so we can get a lot more things in the skin that really cause problems. So here's the interesting thing. When I did a lot of this professional skincare training, they would teach about the acid mantle and the perfect balance for the skin. And then they would explain that why you had to have a toner was to rebalance the pH of the skin and put that kind of protective mechanism back in place. Well, it was really kind of an interesting question, because I said, well, you know, if you have a product that doesn't disrupt the skin, why would you have a toner? And they said, well, that's because whatever, you know, people expect that. that. They've been trained to expect to do cleanse, tone, moisturize. And so that's what we provide them. So what you realize is that you're being sold a product that is there because someone is maybe giving you a product that disrupts your skin in the first place. So they cause a problem and then they sell you a product to solve the problem. And what we're going to talk about today is something that doesn't disrupt that acid mantle. And so there is no tone-based step in there. And therefore, you're already beginning to save money as a result of it. Let me get my mouse back there. And so ASEA begins with the cleanse. Cleanse, this is a rich, foaming, moisture-based cleanser. And here's the bottle that you can see in the picture. This I love because it gently washes away dirt, oil, and all those impurities. It actually cleanses makeup away. And I just had an esthetician, pretty young esthetician who not long qualified, and she was just really excited that it was the best product she'd seen for cleaning off makeup, and she didn't have to go through another step. So that in itself also saves you money. It is specifically formulated to support the redox technologies. It does not have redox in it. It is made up of some of those examples that I've given you there, plus a whole bunch of other ones, apple and watermelon and bilberry and lemon and orange extracts and maple sugar, which helps with the exfoliation. So this is a perfectly pure and clean skincare line. Everything that I'm talking about is Dermatest tested, is a coveted 5-star clinically tested seal, and that is done under clinical standards. And so this is a pump mechanism. What we do is just pump 2 or 3 times here, and you can see that it's really foaming. And what you would normally do is just wet the face lightly with just lukewarm water. Don't ever use really hot water, that's damaging to the skin, but just lightly lukewarm water. And then you pump, and then you're going to just mix this on your fingers. You'll see that it's really creamy, and then apply to the skin. The other way you can do it is actually wet your hands first and then apply onto the skin with the cleanser. And then just gently and smoothly around the skin for as long as you feel you need to. But be thorough with that. It is really going to take everything away from the skin that needs to leave it nice and clean without disrupting. And so some of those immediate benefits that you see is that it does help with the tone of the skin. It balances the skin pH there. It's going to support healthy skin cell renewal. It gently cleans and it does remove the makeup, as we talked about. But it's also a bio-oxygen attractor. What's important about that is that oxygen also helps to eliminate bacteria for the skin. So another level of support that you're not going to get in the average product. So you're going to do some amazing things with the skin this evening. And if you have our second step, which is the redox-based technology, this is the ASEA Renew 28. It's called Renew 28 because it's part of a clinical study, which was done over 28 days. And I'll show you some of those results on that. And this is our first redox product, which is just the most astonishing product. So this harnesses the power of redox signaling. It's a light, fast absorbing gel, and it is designed to support healthy skin. This is, I'm just going to show you the bottle. This is, in this tube is a concentrate, slightly more concentrated version of the liquid redox, and it is suspended into inner products there that have nothing that interferes with how redox works. Redox signaling is very volatile. The moment it contacts your skin, it's going to be signaling and giving communication. And so they had to have something that wouldn't activate that until we put it on our skin. One of the neat things is that this also supports the circulation by 55% increase in blood flow. And just to let you know that this is not just about looking beautiful, right? We can use this all over the body. So if you've got hands that you want to improve that blood flow with, or feet or legs or muscles or sore shoulders and necks and everything like that, you can apply this anywhere. It's an amazing product. But because it starts with the liquid, if you have one of those tubes, I want you to just take it and just shake it before you open it. And I'll show you that this is a totally clear gel. So it doesn't leave any residue at all. I can show you that you just lightly apply it to the skin. And it's not necessary to actually rub this in. It's interesting that this product is not about so much the absorption. It obviously does absorb, but you do not have to make it absorb for it to start working. It's already working the moment it contacts your skin. Now, if you have ever wondered about having facelifts and not really want to do and spend all that kind of money or have that kind of invasive surgery. I'm going to show you a way that you can use this tonight that will give you the feeling of having that kind of facelift. And the story behind this is that I have an esthetician within my group. She used to work for me at the spa that I used to own many years ago. She now has her own practice and she shares this regularly with all her clients that come in. And she has a demographic of clients who are all of an ilk financially that love to spend a lot of money on looking after themselves, and they do a lot of fillers and a lot of procedures and spend a huge amount of money to stay in that shape. So she was telling the client how to use the product, and the client was listening to her, and she went off and she started using the product over the next month. And within the next 3 or 4 weeks, she got connected to some of her friends who also love to do facial procedures. And their question to her was, who did your facelift? Well, here's what's really fascinating, isn't it? If any of you have got kids, you know that they don't always listen to what you say, right? And so the client had heard, you need to use this 3 times in 5 minutes. Except that the esthetician was telling her how to use it for something that hurts. And that's how we would use it. If you have something that hurts, you would rate your level of discomfort. You would apply this 3 times in 5 minutes and then wait another 5 minutes and watch what happens. That's how I began to play around with this in my practice and get some idea of what this technology could do. However, this particular person had gone away and she'd applied it to her face 3 times in 5 minutes, morning and evening. And over the next 3 weeks or 4 weeks or so, she'd end up looking like she had a facelift. And I thought, when my friend told me this, I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. I wonder what that feels like. So I went home and I played around with this, and it definitely does give you this amazing feeling. So what I want you to do, if you want to apply it this evening and give us some feedback at the end, would be fun. And you can put questions into the chat box as we go along. I'll come back to those at the end. Here's what I want you to do. So you would use about a raspberry amount on this at least. The one thing I don't want you to do is use too little, and I don't want you to let your skin start to dry out in any shape or form. And what I would suggest to you is, if you've ever watched, I want you not to drag on your skin at all. Just be very light about this, but I want you to brush upwards. I'm actually going to take my glasses off because it's easier for me. I want you to brush upwards just lightly. Make sure that your face stays wet all the time, that the gel doesn't start to dry out. If it does, I want you to add some more to it. Brush upwards. You can lightly stroke down the nose, and it will go up the way that the muscles do, which is up the center and then out in a diagonal pattern. There are lymphatic drainage points around the eyes. So if we're doing microcurrent, we'll actually work around those. And so I often will do sweeping, light sweeps there to encourage the drainage, and you can pat as well. That's another way you can use the gel. And if we go up the neck, obviously a lot of people hate the way that the neck changes and we get those wrinkles as we get older. But there is also a lymphatic drainage point along the chin on either side. So if you take the gel and sweep, put one finger under the jaw and one over the top and kind of just lightly sweep, you're going to encourage cleansing and moving along all the debris within the skin. And so then we divide it in 3. So we do a little sweep and then we go down, and a little sweep. And sometimes I work on the opposite fingers. It's easier that way, along and down, and do the same on that side. And once you've done that once, what I'd like you to do while we continue to do the presentation is repeat that process twice more. And then we'll talk about what that feels like at the end of it. So I want to just give you an example that there is a difference between moisturization and hydration. Hydration is how hydrated that cell is. You're all probably familiar in the days if you forget to drink too much, and we love to do this hydration test on the back of the skin. How much hangs around and how quickly it returns will tell us about how hydrated we are. And so hydration is really filling in the fluids within the cell. Now, one of the factors of this 28-day clinical study was the fact that it increased the cellular hydration by 11%. That's an enormous factor. That really is important. And you're working from the bottom of those cells. This is not just what we do with moisture when we're placing that only on the epidermis. We're literally looking at how the cells are hydrating from the bottom up. And wouldn't it feel counterproductive when you look at what's actually in this? Because it seems counterproductive to me that so many products have so many different ingredients, and yet here we are with this particular product technology that in 4 ingredients, sodium, chloride, hydrogen, and the magnesium and silica, that's what actually goes to make the redox. Why is it salt and water? Because that's what's inside our cells, and that's how the body makes redox. And so this patented technology replicates exactly the same process. The magnesium is there just to bring that pH into an accurate place so that it doesn't disrupt the skin. And silica is the system that suspends that liquid. Silica is naturally part of what we need in our diet for good skin health, and so it's very supportive. It also doesn't activate those molecules until we apply them to the skin. But it does feel kind of counterproductive, doesn't it, when you think about something that can actually hydrate you that's made from salt and water. In the 12-week study that was done on the complete skincare line, these are examples of the results that they saw using the complete skincare line product. Photo damage would be a really important one. If you love to be out in the sun, this would be a great way to support it. It was my first experience with the product when I went down to Florida. I went out when I arrived one lunchtime and managed to get myself extremely burnt. Didn't have any suntan lotion with me on that first day, and this was the only thing I was carrying with me right at the beginning of using it, and didn't have any of those products that you can put to soothe the skin. And so I said, well, I don't know, let me put this on and see what it did. It was fascinating. This really severe sunburn was eliminated the following morning. I couldn't see any of it at all, and I was very comfortable. So that was an interesting aha introduction into how redox supports the health of the skin. So those are really great results, right? And so let's talk about the repair process. So now we move on to is a second redox product, that is the intensive serum. So this is an ultra concentrated, it's 2 times more concentrated than this is, and it is the anti-aging gel that is designed to revitalize and support skin cell renewal. One of the things that we would do with this would be to, again, shake it up if you have some there and you want to play around with it. It is a very fine, clear gel, and you do not need very much of this. Again, another clear product. This would be the one that you would just dot around the fine lines and wrinkles wherever you're irritated by those things that you don't want to see. That is a really supportive product. I actually have used this in what I might term an off-label use, because redox is really important for the overall health of every cell. And I have used mine over this area. You know, we have glands here that are really very much involved with our hormonal pathways. Mine was not doing the right thing. It was going the wrong way. And this was really helpful in changing that. But I also decided to use a complete tube of this over a month or so and see if I could really just accelerate the way that I could support my health. And that really seemed to work very well for me. Let's move to the immediate benefits again from that 12-week study were visibly more radiant skin and visibly smoother skin. I would just point out also that all these products are made in an FDA facility. We're going to move to the third step. This is the moisturizing. Now, this would be, if you don't have the fine lines and wrinkles, you would eliminate the step before and you would go from the repair process, replenish process to the moisturizer. So this is the moisturizer. Again, a benefit packs in there, delivers deep hydration on that top surface. It is another bio-oxygen attractor, again, greatly supporting the health of the skin. It also has a topical probiotic. We know that probiotics also support hydration, not just moisture, but hydration, and they also provide bacterial protection. This is really a remarkable product, and I will tell you that this is fabulous for young people, not just those of us who are looking at skin cells that are changing, because when you're in your early 20s, you know, it is turning over in about 28 days. That's why we did the Renew 28. But by the time you're 50, your skin cells have slowed down. They're as much as 90-day turnover, which is why we look different than a young child or a teenager or a 20s or even a 30-year-old. So really great product. Again, this is a simple pump and you can just dispense there, and it's very easy and it's very light. One of my stories I love about this was when I was in my 20s, again, just apply lightly. You do not have to wait for the other products to dry if you're using all of the ASEA products together because they are uniquely designed to support each other. But if you are just cleansing with something else, make sure you dry completely before you use this, and then allow this to dry for at least 5 minutes before you would apply any other kind of product, because it will actually detract from the benefits of the redox. But when I was in my 20s, I actually decided to invest in what I thought was, more expensive skincare with a very well-known company. And that skincare did not work well for me. It really disrupted my face badly. I mean, badly. I always felt like I looked like the Sahara Desert. My skin was so broken and so irritated, and it took years for me to overcome that. It also set up a lot of pattern challenges where doctors would want to put me on antibiotic medication to try to deal with all of those challenges. And I really never thought that I would get over it. Such a long, prolonged pattern. So I had moved into using night creams because daytime moisturizers just wouldn't hack it for me. I'd be using them all day long and applying them multiple times because my face just would dry out so much. So I started to apply nighttime ones as my daytime product, because that way I felt like I could survive. And here was the fascinating piece. I was already using a really good skincare line when I came to ASEA. I bought this out of curiosity because I was at the end of the other products, and I thought, well, I'll just try this and see what I think about it. I probably won't like it, and I'll go back to my other products that were keeping me at a pretty good place. I love this product. This is not a nighttime cream. You do use it morning and evening, but I can say clearly now, I don't need any of those heavy moisturizers. This is beautiful. And I've actually got to the point where even if I was to only apply this once a day, I can still feel really good. And my skin feels naturally a lot more supple and just smooth, and certainly not dry anymore. So it's been an interesting journey as I've watched that improvement over time. And we're going to just talk about the benefits of the 2-week benefits of that moisturizer. So at 2 weeks, visibly enhanced skin elasticity and firmness, reduced appearance and depth of lines and wrinkles, defends healthy skin barrier, which is what we talked about with the probiotic. 4 weeks, we actually had an increase in skin moisture of 43%. So you can see from something that is really a very light and very comfortable moisturizer, it does an incredible job, really power-packed. So what are the kind of guarantees that you could expect from this product? Well, FDA facility, NSF and GMP compliant. Bioagilytics is a third-party company, and along with the supplement that those of us who want to improve our skin health from the inside will consume this, as well as putting the redox on from the outside. Bioagilytics is a third-party company that verifies that every single batch is a redox certified. So they check it, they test it, they track it. So you have the highest level of clinical production for a skincare product line. This is made to the same standards as drug manufacturing, a phenomenally high product, clinically tested, dermatologically tested, suitable for all skins. This isn't a case of, oh, I need one for my dry skin, something different for normal, something for oily. This is for everyone. Cruelty-free products, no animal-based ingredients, assured quality, no GMOs, no parabens, no sulfates, no artificial colors, and no gluten. I lost that word there for a second. No gluten. And if you are a gluten-free person, if you're eating a gluten-free diet, then you need to make sure that your skincare products support that, because there is no such thing as partially gluten-free. And remember, what goes into your skin, it does not go through your liver. Your liver cannot filter anything. So it's important that you're not putting gluten on your skin if you're trying to eliminate it from your diet. So let's look at the fact that, as we said, this is for the face, but it is for the muscles. It is for guys. Guys will use the facial wash as their shaving cream, and then when they pat dry, rinse and pat dry, then they'll apply this as something that soothes those irritants to the skin. So if you shave and you end up with all those rough bumps and you get red spots, this is a really great product to have, and really guys love it just as much as women do. And here's an example of using the ASEA product. How many people do you know who have these hormonal challenges when they're young in particular? Sometimes they come back when we're older and women are thinking, gosh, am I back in high school again? All right, when their hormones shift again and you start to see a return. But here you get an example of one of those things was radiance, more skin radiance. And you can really see this shift in Angel's skin from the beginning. As you can see, this improvement in just the whole quality of the skin changes. And so we're going to show you some of the before and after photos of the 28-day product. And so this would be, again, visibly smoother, more radiant skin and firmness. Part of what I do in my skin health is looking at face and hands and nails. So the face tells me a lot about what's going on below the surface for people as well. And so where we have the amount of inflammation, you can see a lot of inflammation in her face, will also speak volumes about the challenges that she's having with lung health or stomach health or hormones there. But you can see that improvement. This is examples of the skin elasticity and firmness in just 28 days. Really remarkable. How many of us hate the way that our arms change, not just our faces, right? This isn't exclusive to the face. And so here we see this improvement and firmness. Now, one of the things that people saw was they started to use the Renew 28 for cellulite, and they saw improvements. And so they came back to the company and they said, do you have any clinical studies? Do you have any statistics on what this does? So the company actually sent this back out again. They did a study on cellulite, and in 28 days, it had a 16% change in the size of those cellular cells and the fluffiness and how much they expand. And this one is, again, the visibly smoother and more radiant skin. You can just see the whole texture of the skin improves dramatically. Now, one of the other fun things to do with the liquid is to be able to hydrate the skin. If you get out and about and you love to have a spray to just hydrate your skin if you're in a dry environment, actually we'll use the redox and just hydrate by spraying. So a little tiny spray bottle is a fun way to be able to use it. You can use the redox in the liquid in your eyes. That also supports eye health. And I'll talk a little bit about this as a kind of fun way to use the actual liquid as well. You can get these online. They're little compressed face masks, and you can just put those into one of the little cups and just put like a ½ ounce of the liquid in there, drop the face mask in, and then unpeel it. And if you put the Renew 28 on first, apply a lot of the Renew 28 and then put the super wet face mask over the top, it makes a fun and fabulous way to relax for 15 minutes and just give yourself this incredible face mask benefit. So it's like going to a spa, but being at home. And the other ones, again, those depths of lines and wrinkles that we all talked about as our #1 bugbear, you can see improvements in those 28 days. So this is a complete skincare upgrade. So we use the Renew 28 as that revitalizing skin elasticity piece and firmness for all over. And we put the two together to be able to do skincare from the outside in with the cleanser and the intensive and the moisturizer, and skincare from the inside out by using the redox inside by drinking on a regular basis to be able to also amplify the benefits that we get and support internal cleanliness. If you were just to buy one tube of the gel, it would be $50, and you know, it's a great benefit, but there are also other benefits that we can talk about. The cleanser itself, my eldest daughter's 27, and she loves this. When she started using it, she said, Mom, she said, you know, this is remarkably effective price-wise. She said, she said, I can't get anything that lasts as long as this does or does what it does for my skin. She said, and is this price, if I go to Ulta, everything's a lot more expensive. And I will tell you, these things last probably about 3, sometimes 4 months, depending upon how much you're using. And what a lot of us will do is we'll put some extra water in when it gets right down to the bottom, and it still keeps foaming up. So you get everything out of these tubes. The intensive serum, that's as a single purchase price, and then the moisturizer. But most people love to benefit from the skincare kit in purchasing all of those things, and so you get a big discount on that. Remember, this is the only redox skincare system in the world. So you're not going to be able to go and get this anywhere else. And then if you want to do this as redox skin and body care, remember being able to use this. I love using this all over, all my, everywhere in the morning. When I get out of the shower, I'll just dry off and apply this all over. And it's just amazing to feel how much the muscles wake up and you just feel so supple and just ready to go. It has an incredibly enlivening feel and really supportive to, all over skincare health. Whoops, there we go too. And so, as I said, what a lot of us will do if we're doing just minimal skincare support and you're not thinking about all the other benefits that we're not going to talk about tonight with the redox, but if all you want to do is to do basic skincare support from the inside and outside, that might be the average use on a monthly basis, 2 of the large tubes of gel and 2 of the bottles of liquid. But most people will be doing at least 4 bottles internally on a regular basis per month, and that is because they want the other benefits that are going to come from overall skin health, and at least 1 tube of Renew Gel if you're going to be using that twice a day on your face and not on the body. Well, one of the other things that is lovely about having regular shipments direct from that FDA facility is that you get loyalty point rewards up to 20% back. And if you're doing that, what I suggest to people is at some point use your loyalty point rewards and add the LifeMax in. There is a component in the LifeMax that directly supports skin health. That one actually also supports cognitive health and cardiovascular health. It is a vital lifestyle formula, so it's going to produce a lot more energy. And if you do have challenges with a lot of hormonal spots when you're younger in particular, a lot of that has to do also with the connection to needing a lot more vitamin B, and the source is a great supply of vitamin B that can help that. So they're really complementary. What those products are designed to do is to work synergistically with the redox. It took them 3 years to manufacture them to work specifically with how redox functions. They are organic, they are non-GMO, they are vegan, and they are soy-free, all of those kinds of things, and they are whole food. So the body knows exactly how to consume and use those to support your health. And I just want to finish by showing you the dynamics of aging. I'm sure that your doctor or everyone that talks to you about aging will tell you, well, this is just the way it is, right? You're not going to look the same. You're not going to feel the same. You're not going to have the same amount of energy. You're not going to bounce back the way you used to because you're just getting older. And I would love to tell you that this is an interesting story of Rosie. Rosie loves to use our products, and this is a journey between the age of 84 and 91. And she started using the products inside and outside. And I want to show you that this was her at 84. And I bet you thought that she was going to be at the other end, right? I bet you thought that the 84-year-old was going to be on the left. Well, 7 weeks later, having the doctor actually suggest to her that she uses these products, she came back to her doctor and she said, I don't think these products are working. Well, the doctor was smart enough to have taken a photograph of her, and he showed her the comparison of where she was 7 weeks later. And she said, oh, well, I guess they are working. So she said, I guess I'll continue to take the products. And I love Rosie because she continues to update us on her internal health, breaking through the breakdown of aging. And here she is at 87, and here she is at 91 years young. And I will defy anyone watching this to tell me that you can expect to look younger at 91 than you did at 84. Right, and this is evidence of how redox actually interrupts the breakdown of aging and finds those damaged cells and helps our body literally turn back the clock internally and externally. And that is just such a beautiful picture. And I know that those of us who've been using these products for a while tend to feel the same. So make sure that you take photos of yourself if you're going to use this product. Technology stuff changes. And like Rosie, at 7 weeks later, she wasn't certain that anything happened, but it absolutely did. So I'm going to say thank you for watching. I'm going to just end the slideshow for now, and I'm going to take a look at, let's see if we have any, okay, so let's see if we've got you're watching the room, show before and after. Yes, I have. So where do you purchase the face mask technique? So what is the face mask technique? And as I said, that is using the gel technology 3 times. Just don't let it dry out. Drive it in 3 times. Do complete coat around 3 times. And then kind of wait about 5 minutes and then just see. And if any of you are on the call this evening and you've actually done that, just type into the chat bar. Can you feel like how much it really begins to kind of tighten and support the skin? And it really does tend to feel like we've had this facelift. But certainly if you keep doing that, so an example would be to do that, say, treat yourself for a week and do 3 times in 5 minutes, morning and evening, and kind of like a spa visit for your face for the week, and actually really accelerate the way that we can change skin health. So we've got some Angel. Yep, I love your photos there, Angel. You're on. So Our Lady that we showed those photos to. Can all the products be applied around the eyes? The only thing you would not want to do is to put this kind of thing in your eyes, but absolutely around your eyes. I had some challenges with eye health, and I was playing around with, and so I actually would apply this to the eyelids. And so I found that really supportive. I'm just going to go ahead for a second here and stop